Alrighty, everyone. Happy Saturday. Welcome into the PHNX Rising post-game show. Phoenix Rising with a very respectable 1-1 draw against Detroit City on the road. A little bit of a short rest day after that Open Cup match. Again, you asked me, Max Simpson. So I'm like, we'll take a point on the road. You ask Mr. Jake Anderson, also joining us. Not only would he take a point on the road, but he darn near predict a 1-1 scoreline. That's exactly what happened. Jake, we're gonna have Owen joining us in a few minutes, but man, how do you think about that draw?
I predicted 2-1 on Wednesday as well. I want the record to reflect I got both score lines right. Reese, get the clips. Get the receipts. But no, it's a great result. We said on Thursday this was a result you would have taken going in, and then I didn't expect the lineup to be what the lineup was. So my expectations were here, and then the lineup came out and they dropped just because it was like it was a I don't want to say risky, but the way the game went, right? I thought the first goal being Detroit so early, I thought because of the way the lineup had been put out, they weren't going to be able to get anything going forward. But Detroit looked tired, man. I think the depth of Phoenix is what prevailed tonight. The goal by Giulio was almost exactly how North Carolina scored, right? It was just like a carbon copy, just on the other side. But yeah, I mean, neither team was really like super attacking, and I mean they looked like they had some heavy legs out there, and I think it was a just result. And given the two teams' current form, I would take that and come back to Phoenix with it.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. And I think, like, again, it's one of those things, we say it all the time. If you're able to if you're able to draw on the road, it makes all the difference, especially knowing the short week, everything like that. I think it was a valiant performance. Yes, the lineup, we'll definitely get into. I know Owen has some thoughts on that as well, but definitely kind of a wonky one, right? You're going to kind of chop and change, especially after you have, multiple guys playing on Wednesday, especially a lot of them going 120. So definitely kind of an interesting one in there. But hey, you'll take the result, right? I mean, here's the thing. Don't look now. Phoenix Rising is riding a 4-match unbeaten streak, and 3 within USL play. Listen, you know the draws. You want to see them turn into wins and all that stuff, and I get that that's how points accumulate. But if we're talking about things to build upon, this team is getting it going when it needs to be. It's not always pretty. It's not always the flashiest stuff. But again, they have found some combinations, right? Especially, the back line, even with the new crop of guys here, not a bad match. The surface was kind of wonky, but they really are able to have some guys who keep on stepping up in big-time performances. Saw it again today.
Dude, that's a great point. I mean, just in those last 4 matches, if I would have told you prior, I would have said, hey, in the next 4 matches, there's going to be 2 wins and 2 draws. You're not going to lose. Who are the wins and who are the draws going to be to? Don't necessarily know if you would, maybe you could. But I don't know if you would have predicted a win on the road twice, right? Like, they've only played 1 of those 4 matches at home, and you drew Sac. I mean, it's a good string. You've had some injuries in there. You've had a lot of games. Now, obviously, you get a week off before Miami. I mean, you're starting to ride high into some momentum here.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm loving the chat, right? Everyone in here, you guys are awesome. You're joining us on a middle kind of a day on Saturday. Again, BJ in the chat can only watch the first half, predicted 1-1, but not the way I thought. Absolutely. Albert in the chat, hey boys, good result tonight. You know it. Devinal, where is Owen? Again, he'll be joining us here in a few minutes. Brett, I like this one. Makes me think that if we were playing the normal 11, we'd have won, but love getting a point from this one on the road. Listen, we can make the argument. I completely agree. And I mean, I think it was a fair result, 1-1. I think both teams absolutely had their chances. I don't think one was necessarily overwhelming, but we'll call it what it is. And I know we'll jump to buy the numbers here in a little bit, but even just for going off the eye test, if you're going to ask which keeper was threatened more, who had to make more of those kind of make or break saves, it was Detroit's keeper. Phoenix Rising was a bit more of the presence and that threatening team within the front goal.
Yeah, the broadcast, and we'll get to the broadcast later, but the broadcast, he said that the first official save for their keeper came in the second half, which means that Ryan Flood's shot was not saved by the keeper. I don't know. I thought it was saved by his foot, but I mean, semantics. But yeah, Rising surprised me, especially in the second half. And like I alluded to earlier, I thought the fatigue really set in right before halftime, like that final 10 minutes of the first half, I think because Detroit got out so early, they kind of sat back a little bit, relaxed. And then as the game progressed, Rising's able to bring on starting players, right? So Azakar comes on, Renzo comes on. I was really interested when you had all the midfielders out there and only one true attacking midfielder in Fede, and you had the three more defensive. I was curious, is Giulio going to go forward? And the performances we've seen out of him the last two games, I think this is the player that Brandon McCarthy and Bobby and everyone in the front office was so excited about, right? This is the guy that they traveled to Italy for and brought back. So, I mean, I think it's a performance that you can really take with, and especially when you don't have Panos, you didn't have Rito. I don't know how much was expected going into this match given the formation, but it's good to see that for the most part, it looks like no one's hurt. I mean, everyone played on Wednesday except for Panos. So if Panos is just getting a breather, he's just getting his legs back. I mean, hopefully he'll be back to a full 90 next Saturday.
100%. All right, let's talk about Giulio for a bit, right? It's 2 goals in 2 matches, right? Scoring in consecutive matches. Goals aside, right? And that's come a form as of, very late. This guy, he's not had a bad performance yet, really, in a Phoenix Rising, kit. It's something where he gives this team a little bit something different. He really has that energy going forward. And it's so crazy. This guy, he's so young and he's able to really get things into the mix. I've been loving his energy, been loving the finish today. It's almost the mid finish, honestly, almost was kind of a mirror of the Open Cup finish from on Wednesday. Excuse me, that was scored against Phoenix Rising, almost kind of that, kind of back heel. Hey, how you doing? So, I mean, listen, he's been absolutely massive. Him being out there in these matches has really provided a bit of that anchor for the team. And again, just his progressiveness going forward, it's something that he's an orchestrator. He's not that classic number 10. He definitely sits a little bit deeper within that midfield, but he's still able. His head is up. He's looking to dribble forward. He's able to connect forward. And that's something you need, especially with you're playing with a lot of other defensive midfielders.
No, I absolutely agree. And I think that's why he and Renzo are such a good pair, because Renzo is able to run and cover so much ground when he gives the freedom to Giulio to go up, especially. And that's why I love seeing Emi, Panos, and Giulio play together. And I've said that so many times on this podcast, but it's true. Like those are the 3 midfielders I love to see in there. And then Renzo would be the 4th, obviously. But in terms of attacking and creation, those are the 3 in the middle of the park, and then you have your overlapping runners with your wingers, and then whoever may be up top, whether it's Remy, whether it's obviously Formella isn't going to leave Mother's Day weekend when his child is born. That would be a bad look.
Yeah.
But now that he'll be back right now, the team's coming back home. Because I was thinking about it today. What if you had Formella, what the first half would have looked like? And I actually think Phoenix could have maybe won this game if they had 90 minutes of a number 9 who would be able to play with the ball, right, with his back to goal. I think it would have been a different look, a different flow. But hey, I mean, you can only play with the guys you got.
You ain't wrong, Ron. You mentioned Mother's Day, right? I mean, yeah. Dershmella didn't make it out and all that stuff. Something to keep in mind for Mother's Day. If you need a little, maybe some chocolate, some sweets, everything like that, Circle K is a fantastic place to stop by to get some last minute Mother's Day goodies for the mom in your life, the ladies in your life, right? We all like chocolate. Heck, just buy yourself some chocolate while you're out there. But right, maybe a Polar Pop, gotta stay hydrated. Mothers love staying hydrated of all ages and all that stuff. But 69-cent Polar Pops cannot beat it again. 69-cent Polar Pops from today through September 3rd. Check it out. Again, only for our Inner Circle members. It is free. Of course, all you have to do is download the Circle K app, opt in with that phone number, become an Inner Circle member, get all kinds of discounts and freebies, 25 cents off per gallon for your first 5 fill-ups. And again, 69-cent Polar Pops, a bunch of free clubs that you can join, which gets you a bunch of free stuff. And again, Circle K is always rolling out just some really cool theme stuff. Again, check them out for Mother's Day, some chocolates, all different kinds of things that you need. You can get it at our friends at Circle K. And of course, check them out at participating locations. See stores for details. Also, how do I, maybe there's some mothers out there, maybe some older mothers, maybe soon to be. I don't know how to transition this. Oh, geez, brands. Maybe for the grannies in your life. How about that? The mothers of the mothers in your life. Maybe they can use some OG's brands in there. It's a great time of year. It's always a great time of year for the mothers to check out OG's brands. They're 21 years or older plus to enjoy responsibly. So why don't you give the gift of that as well on Mother's Day? Definitely a little something to just help them chill out a little bit in life. Life is tough, for the mothers and of course the mothers out there. Just check them out, right? The sativas, the indicas, the fruits, the creams, the minis, the big OGs, the sleep edition, all of that jazz. You know it. Check them out. In all dispensaries. You can find them at ogsbrands.com to find them at a local dispensary near you, and find them on social platforms at OG's Brands. You must be 21 years or older to enjoy responsibly. All right. I do have
questions. They're called grandmothers, and how are you using grandmothers to sell OGs?
Hey man, listen, everyone.
What are you on about, Max?
He just transitioned from grandmothers, calling them mothers into an OG's ad read.
Whoa, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Mittens. What's going on, Owen? How we doing, buddy?
Hello.
All right. How's it going out there in Detroit?
Yeah, it's a little bit chilly. A little bit. I mean, yeah. It's Keyworth Stadium, right?
We'll be doing that. Awesome. Well, hey man, Jake and I have been chatting a bit.
It was raining earlier. It was raining earlier, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you would have known because when it was raining earlier, I'm not sure if you had a match broadcast at that.
No, I don't.
We were watching sunny New Mexico.
Oh, lovely.
Dude, I don't think Jake and I have ever rooted for a Conference USA softball game harder in our life. We were doing some play-by-play commentary on the phone for the first 15 minutes of that match, of this match while the softball game was ending. So there you go. Yeah, there you go. But hey, man, we're kind of chatting right before you hopped on. Right, want to get your overall thoughts on this match. It's one where Phoenix Rising, good performance. You kind of go into this game saying you're going to take a point on the road on a short week against a battle-tested Detroit side at their home turf, right? What you made of everything?
Yeah, emphasis on turf there for the surface behind here. But look, I think, was it the prettiest of games? Was it the cleanest and easiest of games for anybody out there? No, it wasn't. But it was a hard-fought point. I think when you contextualize it with everything, you understand just how decent the result this ultimately was today. The context of that, of course, being that you started someone who, when he started his Phoenix Rising career, was a left back, and you said, we'll play him at number 9 today. Why? Because you're missing someone, and you've also got someone else who's played far too many minutes as the sun starts to come out over the last week. They do that for the first half. It doesn't necessarily work as well as you'd have liked, but it does end up ultimately with Rising able to find a way back into the game in the second half. I feel as though the first half they started a little bit, and again, this gets so bright quickly. They started a little bit timid almost. Again, you guys wouldn't have seen that, but there wasn't a whole lot going on. They weren't taking many shots. I mean, they had one shot in the first however many minutes. And the goal against them is a very, very well taken goal from what should be a lot more difficult than he made it look in the end. But overall, I mean, Rising worked their way back into it in the first half. I think by the end of the first half, you say, okay, they've had a few chances here. They managed to work the ball into a couple of dangerous areas. Maybe it needs to be a little bit better. Maybe not. Who knows? But then the second half, they come out here. I know that Danny said at halftime to the boys that he wanted them to do better off set pieces. He felt as though they were going to get an opportunity off a set piece, and it is an opportunity off a set piece. And it's Giulio tucking it away. Look, I think overall, again, you take the 1-1 draw. It's been a long week. It's been a lot to deal with. Some players who missed today, we don't believe were fully fit. Some just didn't have anything left in the tank. It's a messy one to be in that position, and especially knowing that you've got a 3-game week coming up, not too far away now again, with a lot of travel involved in that week as well. So you take the point. Especially as the team that have Detroit been playing the best of teams in the East? Maybe not, but they've been getting results. Have they got a pretty awkward place to play here in Keyworth Stadium? Absolutely. Coming out and not losing this game was the most important thing. And that's what they managed to do.
100%. And I think, Owen, right, we definitely expected heavy lineup changes, especially after, given the congestion of this week, given after a lot of guys were playing 90 minutes, 120 plus minutes in Wednesday's Open Cup match. The goal, right, it's one of those, it's a belter. It's just a fantastic goal from Detroit. It's one of those, I don't know how much you can do about that, but you kind of look at the back line that, Rising played with today, guys who necessarily haven't had a ton of chemistry of all being out there at the same time. Plus, even though Rocco is his stand-up self, didn't play on Wednesday, coming back in the fold. Outside of that goal, really wasn't a massive threat. Otherwise, talk a bit about what you saw from that defense today and really holding this Detroit team at bay for most of that match.
Yeah, I thought they were all right. But again, I just feel like it was a pretty ugly game in general.
It was, yeah.
And that's the thing. Yeah, well, there were a lot of clear-cut chances. No. But at the same time, I feel as though just overall, I'm not sure that, Rising had another couple. Detroit had a couple that they could have done a little bit better with in the first half as well. In fact, I believe by halftime they'd put 3 shots on target, if I'm not mistaken. So they had, it was 3 on target, I thought. Could have been 4, you're right.
Press box showed me 4, but
okay, well, if you've got 4, you've got it probably right in front of you, and I don't have it immediately right in front of me, so I'll take your word on that one, Max. Cool. But I feel as though they could have scored more, especially when Rising were a little bit more awkward in that first half, a little bit more slower. I'm not sure they had fully adapted or prepared for the conditions. Again, when I say that, I'm talking literal field conditions, right? This turf underfoot doesn't have that much give in it, as I'm kind of kicking it right now under my feet, and it's not really doing very much. It's slippery. Okay, obviously it rained just before the game and a little bit into the game as well. There was rain here. So it's slippery out here. You can tell it rained. There's standing water a little bit in the away locker room, but that's the charms of Keyworth, eh? But overall, yeah, it was. I think this game was just always going to be a bit scrappy. I don't think it was ever going to be anything but that. Again, you've got both teams played 120 minutes in midweek after playing on the weekend prior. They then come here, and just the surface again is it's not necessarily, I don't want to harp on about it too much, because it ends up then sounding like you're griping about it too much, but it doesn't lend itself to a slower possessive style of football. It lends itself to that pass is going to bobble a little bit. It's not going to be a nice flat kind of carpet to play on, which is very different from North Carolina in midweek, by the way, which was a very nice playing surface. Look, I think they did fine. But again, Detroit have never... the other thing to note there is that Detroit have never been a team that put up multiple goals. They haven't been since they've been in this league. That's not them. That's not the kind of team that they've been. Mm-hmm. They don't go out and score a shed load. They just don't. What they tend to be is a well-organized team that knows how to defend, and that will get there. If they get their one goal, often aren't going to give another one away.
Yeah, 100%.
The goal is moved behind me there.
Nice. As they say, the goalposts are moving. But yeah, right. Detroit not one to score multiple goals in match. Right, going on Pat with a comment in here as well. Scored 1 or less in 9 of 11 matches in 90 minutes.
There you go.
Yep. Defense is playing well enough to have more points than we do. It actually leads nicely. Let's look at by the numbers, right? Presented by our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, named Arizona's #1 credit union by Forbes. Listen, we talk about that. This match was messy. Rising needing to adjust to the elements quite literally, not only above them, but under them with the turf. And, you kind of see this play out not only in the eye test, but within the numbers as well. XG 0.64 for Phoenix Rising, 0.45 for Detroit City. Possession, darn near even, 52-48. Shots, darn near there even as well. 9 shots for Rising, 8 for Detroit, and with both of them having 4 goals apiece. Gentlemen, I'll ask you both. You see the stats, and stats are one thing. Eye test is the other. 1-1, fair result for both teams. And did a team particularly deserve to win more than another?
I thought it was a fair result.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what it was. Neither team took it to anybody. I mean, they would have agreed on that, I think, pregame, given that both teams looked exhausted.
100%. 100%. Seeing going Padwell going off of his previous stat, at some point the offense needs to come through. No, it's a fair shout, right? I think this team is, I think they're honestly in some ways finding, I don't want to say necessarily new heroes coming through, right? The goal scorers, a lot of the guys, a lot of it has fell on Remy Cabral, other guys up front, but I think you are starting to see, especially throughout the midfield, you're having new guys come through, and there's just a bit more fluidity. They're trying to find the sharpness in the final third, but I think you're starting to see some of the combinations looking to click. And one of the guys who continues to deliver for this team, it's easy to say off of Wednesday with the match winner, and he did it darn well again today with the equalizer. It is the man, the goal scorer, the man of the hour, is Mr. Giulio. He is our man of the match, right? A little bit all.
You almost stumbled over the name there, Max. Come on, it's Giulio Doratiotto, okay? It's not hard. I mean, Jake can do it. Come on, Max. Come on. Catch up, mate. Catch up, mate.
Listen, I chose to say his first name because that's what I want to do. Anyway, let's not distract from the man and that awesome haircut, that nice little photo there. 1 goal, 1 shot on goal, 2-2 aerial duels, won both of his aerial duels, and 3 tackles. He was a little bit of everywhere. Again, this progressive force who he just continues doing his thing. Right.
All right. You know what I'm going to say to that one? I think that's a really good idea to toss now to our first video from the post-game interviews with head coach Danny Stone. And here is what he had to say when he asked him about just how far Giulio has come on over these last couple of games.
Well, look, I think over the last week he's obviously added a couple of goals, and so that's an important thing for any player. Is the one on Wednesday is his first professional goal, so that's a nice moment for him to get that first one. And then the goal tonight is obviously an important goal as well to get ourselves back into the game. And we spoke about set pieces at half time. That was one thing I very specifically put an emphasis on and said, listen, we owe ourselves one from a set piece. And credit to the group that they found a way to do that. And Giulio this week is obviously, he's had a good week in terms of adding a couple of goals to his name. And he's done well with a group that have done well collectively, honestly. So I'm happy for him. But I'm happy for him in terms of his, I think he's becoming a little bit more fluid in the way that he plays in his role in the team. And I think he's starting to understand what his role in the team is in that midfield area. And, he's got experienced players around him in Jose tonight, captain in the team, and Renzo coming on. And JP, I thought, did a very good job as well on Wednesday in Carolina. All 4 of those players, as I've said in previous interviews, any 2 or 3 or 4 of those players that are involved in a game, we have full confidence in. And Giulio's done a good job, as have the other 3, and as have the whole team collectively this week.
Yeah, I think it's honestly a really good point from Danny. In the position they continue to put Giulio in is they're not asking him to be the guy where go win the match for us. He's not going to be the guy where you need to be a box to box, go in everything. But it's one of those situations where you're going to pair him with a guy who's, tends to be a little bit more defensive minded, who's going to provide good cover for him and just allows him to be, hey, if you want to roam up front, go for it in a defined role. If you want to be able to, set back and put out fires, you're good there too. I think we've really seen his range come through, in that progressive passing moving forward, but you're now starting to see a bit of his offensive skill. It's been really cool to watch, to see him progress even over these last handful of matches.
You need that, right? I think we've said that the issue you have when you put Jose Andres Hernandez and Renzo Zambrano out there is that both of them are a little bit too negative, especially when they play alongside each other. Okay? You can't pair the 2 of them very well, because it just ends up with a midfield that isn't willing to drive the ball and doesn't drive the ball very often. You need to have someone that's willing to that on. I think that's something we've seen Giulio do a fair bit more, and especially in these past couple of games now. I mean, his finish today was very good. I think we should give him all the credit for that as well. And again, just for someone who only scored his first professional goal ever on Wednesday, to come out and do it again in the immediate following fixture, it's just something to enjoy. And again, enjoy it. Look, you look at the age on him and the fact that he's scoring these goals now. I think Jake said this just before I hopped on, but you're starting to see the Giulio Doratiotto that we were pitched, the person that we were told that Rising were bringing in, and why they were so excited to bring him in, and why they went to the effort of traveling overseas to meet up before he signed, which is something that this club, by and large, doesn't do. It's something that USL clubs, by and large, do not do. We're starting to see that player. We're starting to see what he is capable of, even at this young age. And of course, that only bodes well for the future.
Right. I think this is exactly what we've been waiting for. Right. I've been expecting it almost, and he didn't start right away. He had to earn his way in. Right. He had to earn Danny's trust and earn his teammates' trust. But now we're starting to see that. And I think it opens up. Because I think the biggest problem from our biggest concern was going to be goals this year. And the biggest problem has consistently been a lack of finishing or chance creation. And I think now that you have solidified the fact that Giulio is going to be on the starting 11 sheet more often than not, the likes of Panos and Fede don't necessarily need to come as deep to get the ball. I think that gives them opportunity to then be as creative as they are, closer to the top of the box where they can themselves get involved with a shot or play a 1-2 with an overlapping winger or Remy or whoever it may be up there. I just think it helps so much, not just to have him in the midfield, but it just gives everyone else opportunity to do what they can do at an even higher level.
Yeah. I mean, it's again, you're surrounding him with the good people, putting him in the right positions, and you've kind of seen now, right? He's able to play with Renzo, he's able to play with Jose. It's been kind of this thing of like he's going to be a guy. He has one of those main two midfield spots. Like it's almost not even a debate at this point. It's just he continues to kind of give you that little something different that some of the other guys just cannot do. Honestly, a lot just like our friends. Four Peaks Brewing. Four Peaks Brewing, they give you a little bit of something different that not everyone else can do, especially with their Bad Birdie Juicy Golden Ale, right? It's fantastic, very refreshing for this time of year. It's getting hot out, right? Enjoy a little Bad Birdie Juicy Golden Ale. It is Mr. Owen's favorite beer at Four Peaks. It's honestly up there in the top three.
It is to me. It's good. It's good.
It is darn good. Yep. Check them out. Of course, Four Peaks Brewing on their 8th Street Pub. Always have great stuff going on throughout the summer. Good summer specials. Of course, you can find them everywhere. The Four Peaks sells beer. Rumor has it they even sell it in Detroit. But yeah, check them out everywhere that you need beer at Four Peaks. Go find out. I task you,
Max. You've got to, Max. I can't go like hunting. You've got to give me a location. I'll go find it.
All right. You know what? Bet. I got you. Check them out at
location. I'll be there.
Bet. Check them out at fourpeaks.com to keep up with the latest and greatest going on in Arizona's hometown brewery. Of course, you must be 21 years or older to enjoy responsibly. Also, shout out our friends at Valley Tap Room. I see Devin on the chat asking me, Max, how was the golf tournament yesterday? It was fantastic. And I even saw my man Donald from Valley Tap Room. He was sporting a nice Valley Tap Room hat. Nice little merch, too. They got a new merch line. Check them out again. They got locations at Queen Creek and Gilbert, two great places on the East Valley where you can go in, watch a match, grab a beer. Four Peaks there, of course, the wine slushies, karaoke trivia, all that fun stuff you already know. It's a nice little intimate space to watch some soccer, watch some sports, grab a beer, and just hang out with some good people. Again, check them out. Queen Creek and Gilbert locations. You can check them out on socials at Valley Tap Room, and of course, find them online at valleytaproom.com. All right.
I tell you what, should we wrap out with the remaining Danny clips that we've got, just to work through those so we can move on from this game in particular. But let's have a look specifically now, just the overall thoughts that Danny gave. It's quite a lengthy one, so let's kick off with that. Danny's overall thoughts.
Overall thoughts is in a tough week with a lot of travel against good teams. I feel very proud of the effort that the team have put in tonight. I'm proud of the effort that the team and the staff have put in all week. And I feel this was a good game tonight. This was a tough game tonight. And I thought both teams played the game well. I enjoyed the game. I thought it was a very competitive encounter tonight. I felt in the second half we made a couple of adjustments during the first half. We made a couple of adjustments together at half-time. And I think in the second half, the players took to those adjustments very well and got themselves a foothold in the game. Started to create some good, dangerous moments in the game. And I think we had a good chance in the first half. We had some moments in the second half where I was pleased with the way that the players attacked the challenge, being 1-0 down at half-time. And we spoke about this against Sacramento as well. This is a team who, 1-0 down in a game with 45 minutes left to play, we don't panic. We think, we talk, we reset, and we go again. And they've shown us again tonight, the players, all of them, that they're more than capable of remaining composed in those moments. And then after that composure, I felt we competed better in the second half as well, and we became a more competitive team in the game, with and without the ball, and deserved, I think, an equaliser, in my opinion, in the game. But again, like I said, it was, credit to Detroit. They are a tough team to play against, at home especially, and I enjoyed that game because I thought it was a good one from both sides.
Well said. Don't disagree.
There you go. So yeah, it's a lengthy one, lots to digest there, but I think overall that's pretty much what Danny had to say. One other video in there, just to, again, we'll finish up the videos now, but one other video that we're going to play in this show, it's from, I asked Danny about the conditions here and how that kind of played into.
Oh. Let's gift that. Oh no! Owen lost.
It kind of fell out the bottom there. You got me back? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Hello?
We got you. Yeah, we got you.
Okay, good. Yeah, the XLR just kind of fell out the bottom of my mic, but I guess we'll go with that. Okay. The other video here is from asking Danny about kind of how the conditions impacted the game, and here's what he had to say.
It's a tough place to come and play, but it's a great place to come and play. I've been saying to the players all week, I can't wait to finish the game, the week with this game. And it's a difficult environment for an away team to come into. But if you're strong enough and you have the right mentality, you use that as a motivation and you say, listen, this energy in the stadium, perfect, third game of a week. We use this to our advantage and we take energy from their crowd and we put it into ourselves. And we're a group of strong people. Don't worry about that. So we've got no problem coming to environments like this, and we'll see more tough environments that we have to go and play in through the rest of the season. And we've shown in Rhode Island a couple of weeks ago. We go and get a good away victory there. We get a very good point, I think, here on the road again today. Of course, we want to win these games, but if you don't win a game, don't lose games on the road, and we've done that tonight. And we're a strong group, so we don't need to concern ourselves with the environment. We live up to it. That's what we do.
There you go.
Well said. Well said. Absolutely. If you're not going to win the games, don't lose them. That's exactly what Phoenix Rising did. I think one point to end on, gents. When we were talking about this, don't look now. Phoenix Rising are 4 matches unbeaten, 3 in the USL, riding that streak. Did we learn anything new about this team during this week of matches?
I think the biggest thing I'll say is that some of the depth on this team is definitely very much able to step up, I think, in moments and compete. Okay? This 11 that Rising put out today, I think when I first saw this, and it was earlier, and I know, Jake, I was chatting with you about this one. We were worried about what we were going to see from Phoenix Rising in this game, whether they were going to be able to come here and get a result. However, as you look at the performance that they put in, I think the performances they put in over this stretch as well in general, when, again, changes have had to be made, things haven't been perfect, they've managed to come away and compete in these games against other USL teams, and that's ultimately all that you can ask for. I think that if Rising had a perfect first choice 11 out there today, very good chance they'd have won that game.
Okay, like it. Jake, anything from you?
Yeah, I think we've learned that this team has depth. It gives me 2 thoughts, though. It gives me the thought that, A, I don't think the depth up front is as deep as the other positions. But B, if you continue to have success with Remy, the chance he could always be recalled. And then after that, you're kind of right back to square one. So it's just one of those to where, like, as good as he can be, just know that there's a chance. You hope it doesn't happen, but it's always possible. One injury in Denver, and he's going to be needed. So I don't want to be pessimistic as the goals are starting to flow with Remy and he's starting to play well and connect with guys, but it is the chance that we could be right back to square one in maybe like a July or an August.
I think it's the question, right? And it's the question that this week brings up, and is one that has to be considered going forward. Is, has this week shown the need for more depth at the number 9 position? Because in a week with 3 games, you obviously can't rely on one player, but you're also in a position whereby you only have 2 who can really play that position. You end up playing Ryan Flood up top today, which isn't ideal. You do need to think about what happens, because again, maybe Remy gets called back. Maybe there's an injury. Maybe, as you had this week, Dariusz Formella has a kid, and he's out.
One of them gets suspended.
One of them gets suspended, right? You can't put all of this expectation on one person's going to carry you through that kind of stretch, especially one like this week. And it's not really, you're not really capable of doing it. Look, at the end of the day, this team has the talent there, but it's still just always those question marks around the little things, right? I mentioned the depth earlier and said, okay, I think they've shown that they're capable of competing, but we haven't seen real depth at the 9 position this week at any stage. They were heavily relying on Remy Cabral for the first 2 games. They come on out into this game now, play Ryan Flood. That doesn't seem like it's working. You make a sub at halftime. Okay? So, look, I don't think we saw anything in terms of the answer of what would Rising do in another week like this if they didn't have one of Formella or Cabral. I don't think we have that answer right now. I think it's something they have to seriously consider.
Agreed. May not something. We may be to see, kind of depending on how this position goes. We'll kind of see what happens. But yeah, definitely.
There's a question there from Sally about, is everything okay with Panos? Just today, I think is precautionary. Remember, right? Busy week. We know that he came off as a precaution. By the way, in midweek. Just precautionary, right? Okay. I don't. There's nothing serious, nothing to worry about right now, long term, and don't worry long term. But just remember, it's been a busy week on everyone, a busy week on a lot of the legs, and you've obviously got to play it safe in certain moments, and you don't want to risk things, especially with bigger games coming down the line. There's a big Open Cup game coming in a couple of weeks' time, I hear, and there's a little bit of fingers crossed, I'm hearing, that with the way that Seattle's schedule's working out, they may have to roll out the kids again for the next game. So maybe there's an opportunity there. So again, just don't read too much into it. Busy week. Rotation's going to happen. You know, when you push people to the limits by making them play 3 games in 8 days, you're going to get moments where occasionally something like, I don't know, maybe does this not feel right? But you don't want to take unnecessary risks, especially this early in the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I was also told if this was a cup final, he would be in the starting 11. So.
Yeah. I mean,
he's not going to risk himself in a mid-season match. Yeah.
No, and especially, to be honest, in the field conditions here, do you necessarily want to overly push yourself on those? Probably not. So again, completely understandable. You don't want to go too far on it. So yeah, just don't worry. Don't worry too much is the message. Don't worry too much.
A big sigh of relief from Panos Prop and the rest of us here in the chat. Jake, anything final before we get out of here?
Just got a question for is Detroit the Luton town of USL?
There's currently some kids playing out on the pitch over there, by the way. I don't know if you can kind of see.
Yep.
Can you see them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd say. I mean, I'll post some more pictures now when I leave. I will post some more pictures showing you what the stadium looks like, and it's an experience, to be fair, but different experience. All right.
Absolutely. Owen, would you like to clap back at any of the allegations in the chat calling you soft for wearing gloves?
Aren't these coming from they're talking about Welsh card. They support Liverpool.
Oh, zing. Zing.
Like,
Got him.
lads, let's look on Matt. Where's it's across the border. All right.
On that note, let's get out of here. Appreciate everyone joining us here on the PHNX Wrestling postgame show. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Max David Simpson. You can follow Mr. Mittens, OJ Evans at OJ Evans 18. You can follow Jake Anderson on Twitter at JWA1994. You can follow Stat Like You Reese. Shout out him for all the stats at Reese11_. You can follow producer Jacob Franklin Extraordinaire. You can probably find him in probably the baby aisle, doing something, buying some baby stuff, some food, some whatever you need. There you go. Shout out, Jacob. There's your shout out. Appreciate everyone joining us. It's a beautiful game. It's way more beautiful when Phoenix Rising get a point on the road in a hostile environment. See you guys on Tuesday.
We all silly like the mayor.